Carlos Alcaraz is at the center of a growing storm in the tennis world, and not for the most positive reasons. Since this Martian phenomenon burst onto the elite tennis scene like a tornado, his name has been synonymous with pure brilliance. Titles at Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and even a silver medal at the Paris Olympics cemented his status as the future king of the court. Seriously, it seemed like no one could touch him. But here we are, at the start of 2025, and things aren't looking so rosy for Carlitos. His meteoric rise has been marred by physical setbacks, mental struggles, and a dip in performance that has left many wondering, what the hell is going on? The recent loss to Novak Djokovic in the Australian Open quarterfinals hasn't helped to calm the waters. Let's be real, losing to the Serbian legend shouldn't be scandalous. But the how of that loss has reopened old wounds. Carlitos started the match like a rocket, taking the first set and showing everyone who was in control. And then, Djokovic, at 37 years old and no longer in peak physical shape, called for medical attention due to muscle pain. And that's when Alcaraz lost his compass. Instead of finishing off an injured opponent, he crumbled like a house of cards in a storm. Djokovic, being the cunning fox he is, seized the moment to deliver a masterclass in how to win matches with brains over brawn. But this isn't the first time we've seen warning signs in Alcaraz's game. Back in August 2024, his early exit in the second round of the US Open against a player ranked outside the top 70 sent shockwaves through the tennis world. A downcast Alcaraz admitted he felt lost. "It's like I've taken steps backward instead of moving forward, and I don't understand why." That statement, almost like a cry for help, echoed across the circuit. Things didn't improve in November, when his debut at the ATP Finals was a complete disaster. He lost to Casper Ruud, and to make matters worse, stomach issues and accumulated fatigue knocked him out of contention. "The packed schedule is taking its toll," he admitted after canceling a training session. It didn't take a genius to see something was off. A key issue highlighted by analysts after his loss in Australia is his lack of tactical structure in high-stakes matches. According to Gene Schwayer, an expert in the field, Alcaraz's best day is the best in the circuit, but his worst day is far below the level of Djokovic or even Jannik Sinner. And honestly, how do you let a half-hobbled Djokovic slip away? Come on, Carlitos, that's like missing an open goal in a soccer match. Then there's the brutal tennis calendar. Alcaraz isn't the only one complaining, but his explosive style, built on sudden shifts in rhythm and almost suicidal intensity, has left him drained at just 21 years old. And of course, being hailed as the new Nadal or the next Djokovic doesn't exactly make things easier. Comparing him to those legends is as fair as asking someone to run a marathon after eating 3 large pizzas. That said, all is not lost. Alcaraz remains a diamond in the rough, and his physical and technical skills are out of this world. But he needs to recalibrate his approach. Here are 3 things he should focus on. First, learning to stay calm under high-pressure situations. Second, rethinking his schedule to avoid burning out too soon. And third, honing his tactical game so that his creativity on the court doesn't become his Achilles heel. 2025 has just begun, and while Djokovic continues to reign supreme in the big arenas, Alcaraz has time to turn things around. Can he do it? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: tennis waits for no one, not even its brightest stars. So, Carlitos, wake the hell up, because the whole world is watching. And as for us, we'll be here, crossing our fingers and hoping to see that player who left us speechless from the very start. Come on, man, you've got this. Carlos Alcaraz has all the tools to become the undisputed king of tennis for the next decade. But first, he needs to dig himself out of the hole he's in. As analyst Gene Schwayer said, learning to win even on your bad days is the big task ahead for the Martian. It's not just about winning when everything's going smoothly. It's about grinding through those matches where everything seems to go wrong, and your shots hit the net more often than the court. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner, the world #1 and Australian Open semi-finalist, hit a nerve when he declared that the best rivalry in tennis right now is between Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic. Honestly, he's not wrong. Their recent showdown in the quarterfinals of the first Grand Slam of the year was an epic battle, though many argue that a match of that magnitude should have been saved for the final, or at least the semis. But fate had other plans, and the victory went to the cunning Serbian fox. Speaking of Djokovic, the man never misses an opportunity to stir the pot. He openly admitted to exploiting Alcaraz'S doubts to turn the match around. Let's be real. This guy doesn't just play with his racket, he plays with his opponent's head. Carlos knew from the start that facing Novak was a very real possibility in this tournament, and unfortunately for him, the Serbian was once again the pebble in his shoe, just like in the 2024 Paris Olympics. But what really drove Carlitos mad were the methods. Djokovic pretending to be half-injured in the second set, only to then unleash his best tennis and crush the Spaniard's hopes. If that's not Olympic-level psychological warfare, I don't know what is. A frustrated Alcaraz admitted after the match that he felt in control at the start but allowed Djokovic to get inside his head. If someone was really thinking about retiring, they wouldn't have played like that, the clearly annoyed Merchant said. And he's got a point. Novak used those doubts as a weapon and forced Carlos into making key mistakes. The Serbian, in typical fashion, responded bluntly, "Of course, I used it to my advantage. I've been in his position. I know what it's like when your opponent looks injured but keeps playing. You start to panic. So, I got aggressive, regained my confidence, and in the end, everything went my way." Honestly, the guy had it all planned. A masterclass in manipulation, if you ask me. But the worst part? That wasn't the only blow Alcaraz had to endure. A former Spanish #1 had the audacity to publicly tell him he shouldn't even think about winning the Australian Open. Who does that? That's like telling a student not to pass their exam because there are already too many smart people in the world. On top of that, a veteran of the Spanish Armada told him to be patient, as if that would somehow make him feel better. Oh, and to add insult to injury, Carlitos won't be able to fulfill his quirky promise of getting a kangaroo tattoo if he won in Australia. What a load of crap. The most frustrating thing about all this is that Alcaraz had big plans for this year. Completing his Grand Slam collection with the Australian Open was clearly on his mind, but his quarterfinal elimination sets his ceiling in this tournament, for now. It doesn't matter that he already has Roland Garros, Wimbledon, and the US Open etched into his skin as living trophies. This was his goal, and he didn't achieve it. Are the expectations weighing him down? Probably. Is this the end of his story? Hell no. In the end, we're left with an Alcaraz who still has a lot to prove but plenty of time to do so. His potential is undeniable, but as several tennis sages have already pointed out, the real leap forward won't be physical or technical. It'll be mental. The lesson he needs to learn from Djokovic isn't just about how to play, it's about how to mess with your opponent's mind. Because, let's be honest, tennis isn't just a sport, it's a chess match with balls. And Carlitos better start moving his pieces like a damn grandmaster. Carlos Alcaraz finds himself at the center of a peculiar clash of opinions. While some insist he needs to calm down and stop obsessing over winning the Australian Open, others, like the quirky Mats Wilander, have straight up suggested he shouldn't even try. Yes, you read that right. What the hell, you might think. Well, yes, the Swede claimed it would actually be better if Carlitos didn't win in Melbourne. Why? Because, according to him, it would keep Alcaraz motivated in the long run. You know, as if losing a Grand Slam is somehow a genius strategy to stay hungry for success. Come on, Mats. Do you even hear how ridiculous that sounds? It's like telling someone not to eat chocolate so they'll enjoy the next piece more. On the other hand, we have Roberto Bautista, a veteran of the Spanish Armada, who also shared some advice with the Merchant, albeit in a much more zen tone. According to Bautista, Carlos should stop piling so much pressure on himself and just enjoy the ride. If it's not this year, it'll be the next. The important thing is that he'll do well, he said, with the patience of someone who has seen it all on the courts. And Bautista knows what he's talking about. Reaching the Wimbledon semifinals in 2019 wasn't exactly a walk in the park. He even reminded Alcaraz of something crucial. Winning a Grand Slam isn't just about talent or playing well. There's an element of luck, of those magical circumstances aligning just right for you to lift the trophy. A Grand Slam is like a perfect storm. Everything needs to go your way, a little bit of luck, and, of course, being damn good with the racket, he summarized. And honestly, he's got a point. But what about Wilander? The former world number one took it a step further with his comments. He essentially told Alcaraz, "Look, kid, it's better if you lose now. Trust me, it'll do you good." He justified it by saying that not winning Wimbledon was what kept him motivated throughout his career. Oh, sure, because it's better to have an unfulfilled goal haunting you than to check it off your list. What kind of logic is that, Mats? Still, as absurd as his words may sound, they might serve as a weird kind of consolation for Alcaraz after his Melbourne loss. Because, yes folks, the reality is that the Spaniard will have to wait at least another year to try and win that damn trophy. Meanwhile, the calendar waits for no one. Now it's time to focus on the upcoming tournaments. Rotterdam in 2 weeks, followed by Doha, Dubai, and of course, the Masters 1000 in Indian Wells and Miami, before the clay court season kicks off. In other words, there's no time to dwell on the past. He's got to hit the gas and keep going. If there's one thing that's crystal clear amid this whirlwind of opinions, it's that Carlos Alcaraz, at just 21 years old, has a whole army of unsolicited advisors. From those telling him to chill out to those suggesting he deliberately lose, and even the ones insisting the universe has to align for him to win. What no one can deny is that the Mercian has everything it takes to dominate the circuit in the years to come, with or without Wilander's advice. Oh, and if you're as hooked on all this tennis drama as we are, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Here at Tennis Extra, we bring you the most in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and all the coverage you need to stay up to date on the thrilling world of tennis. Let's be honest, if you've made it this far, you're just as much of a tennis nerd as we are. Join our community and share the excitement of every tournament with us. We're going to have a damn good time breaking down every shot, every rally, and, of course, every screw-up on the court.